Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And welcome to the October, holy cow, new month again. October 8th edition of the Razorback Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. I'm your host, Jason Pattyson. Oh, man. Dudley, how's it going?
They're good. They had a little fever, but we're working through that, get through that, and get some good sleep tonight, so.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, this cold weather snapped this over this weekend, man. I'm gonna tell you, it's some opportune times to really get some good rest, though.
Yeah, I'm got one of these immune deficiency guys, so the weather really affects me and changes it real quick. So, but I always battle through. So we'll get at it, just like the baseball and softball teams are doing right now.
Yeah. What's that?
I said that just like the baseball and the softball teams are now. Obviously pretty tough for the football team right now.
Yeah, I can't say that for a football team. Yeah, Otis and I went almost an hour today. That was an interesting one. So, but it was fun. It was just interesting. So speaking of softball, let's just jump right into it. Looks like Hog softball just pretty much took a page out of the Power and Light District and moved that over to the softball field there over at UMKC.
Yeah, played 4 games this weekend, 2 last night, 2 this morning, early afternoon. Beat those teams by a combined score of 56-2. They played UMKC twice, South Dakota State once, and Butler Community College once. Kudos to Butler Community College for getting the only 2 runs that the opponent scored on the weekend. That tells you that obviously they really hit the ball, but also that they pitched really well. And, that's one thing that I think Coach Dyfel feels really good about is the length and depth that she's going to have in the pitching staff. Probably won't have anybody that will just out and out be the ace as Shanice Delsey was last year, but you're going to have so much more depth. You won't have to tire anybody out, and you're going to be able to play matchups a lot of times. And they used just about everybody this weekend, and the top of that order, really, the length of that order is just something to behold. And I bet they sold them a few tickets this weekend. And tickets cost now, by the way. they're good enough that
Oh,
they're getting to sell tickets now. So it's in fact they have a big ad up right now, right after the knowledge that they won 56-2 in those 4 games. Expect them to be a force in the SEC again this year.
yeah, I saw that Bree Ellis is that, if I'm not mistaken, she had 4 home runs in one game. Is that correct?
4 home runs in 2 games yesterday.
2 games.
Had two in each game, 2 grand slams. Arkansas had 6 overall. Then Bree came out again earlier today. She's the Auburn transfer. Hit another home run, so she had 5 home runs in the first 3 games. And it just they took down UMKC 5-0 today, and then Butler County 12-2, and just hitting the ball up and down the lineup. When you got Nia Carter batting near the bottom of your lineup, the person who was number 2 in the NCAA last year in total hits and led the Big Ten, tells you just how deep you are.
Do you think that Courtney or Coach Deifel, has the ability to be able to do like what Tony La Russa used to do, where he would put his pitcher in the 8th slot, where you might put may not have you be your best hitter in the 8th slot, but put one of your better hitters in that 9th slot to kind of have that continuation from the bottom to the top of the order?
Yeah, the only problem is you got to differentiate who are the lesser hitters, I guess, because they're hitting up and down the lineup. Certainly did this weekend. Those are not SEC teams. They played this weekend, so we want to be clear about that. But they're also South Dakota State is a very good softball team that has been able to get to the NCAA tournament. Didn't make it last year. Went to the women's version of the softball NIT, but had a 17-game winning streak in their league last year. Very good, softball program overall. Butler has always been good. UMKC's had a little trouble lately. They hosted the tournament. I thought one of the more interesting scores I saw. Now, Arkansas goes out and beats South Dakota State 17-0. This is a team that played Nebraska the game before with Jordy Ball, the Oklahoma pitcher who was so dominant in the College World Series yesterday. This last season. Yeah, and South Dakota State beat Nebraska 1-0. Beat hers. I think she pitched 4 innings. So you got to give. You look at those 2 results, and I know Nebraska isn't where Oklahoma is, and probably is not where Arkansas is, but still, that's a quality win for South Dakota State. I'm sure they went home happy and thinking about that more than they did about the 17-0 drubbing.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Make sure also to hit the like and subscribe button to the every one of our shows, so that way you guys are able to get notifications anytime that we go live. So the softball team and how it seems like they are showing signs of how loaded they are early on here in fall ball. Waiting to see what they do in late February, early March. By the way, don't forget your heater and your hot hands whenever you go to those games, because it's not going to be fun if you don't. Baseball is really starting to show some of the similar signs of what Coach Deifel's team has been showing as far as power through the lineup there. And you were they had if I'm not mistaken, scrimmage on Friday and then today.
Friday and Saturday. I wore a short sleeve T-shirt to Friday, long sleeve T-shirt to Saturday. As the weather got to change a little bit. As I said, I'm under the weather today. I didn't make it over there today. They scrimmaged again today. I'm sure we'll get some reports from that. And they'll be back at it again this weekend. And pretty soon, according to Oliver Grigg, the communications guy for baseball, they'll be announcing the dates of the Fall World Series coming up. So I expect that to come out this week. Probably got 2 weeks or so left in this fall baseball season, but they've been able to run through a bunch of pitchers, and seen a lot of what they've got, in terms of what came in as freshmen and what came in, in the transfer portal. Tell you, there's some guys that are really hitting the ball over there. Overall, I think we may have talked about this last week, but overall, Arkansas's recruiting class was ranked number 1 and is the national recruiting champion. You want to be the national champion, not the national recruiting champion, but this helps you get there. Was ranked number 1 by Collegiate Baseball Newspaper, and that's the first time that's ever happened. with Arkansas, and their difference in how they do things is they wait till the people get to campus. They don't do the rankings until people get to campus. Arkansas is rated 1, and you can see that there is length. I feel like I'm using that word a lot, both in about softball and baseball, but a lot of pitchers. I mean, I think there's 11 left-handers on that staff. It's just and that's not even, we're not even, I guess it's 1 or 2, but Hagen Smith came out just throwing BBs on Friday. 14 pitches, 12 strikes, 3 up, 3 down. You had Mason Molina. He had a little trouble with his command early on, but banned 3 while walking 3 and worked himself out of it. Brady Tigert looked good. Will McIntyre, it just up and down the list. They trotted a lot of those freshmen out there. And interestingly, we're going to see where Peyton Stovall, it sounds like he's going to be fine, come time for them to open the season. But you hit an all-Hawaiian infield on one of the teams this weekend with Mihela Aloe, who had 2 home runs each on Friday and Saturday, and Nolan Souza playing shortstop and second base for one team. So that was an interesting Hawaiian combo. Will Edmondson continues to make a bid to be the starting center fielder. He's the junior college transfer from Hutch. That was the Jayhawk Conference Player of the Year. He's making great contact, hustling on the bases, and that's one of the things that I think we're going to see a lot more movement on the bases, whether it's just straight up stolen bases or hit and runs. Seems to be more of that this year. And the great team took it to the Cardinal on Friday, and then the Cardinal rallied after getting down 4-0 on Saturday. But just you see a lot of competition for a lot of spots. And I tell you what, the guy that maybe has made the biggest leap of the veterans that are returning is Parker Rowland. He's just knocking the ball all over the park, including, I think he may have made a dent in the top of the scoreboard. He hit one off the very top of the scoreboard. Or I should say right under the top of the scoreboard, just scorched it. And, they've got some power. They've got some speed. Defense, we'll see how it shores up. As I said, you're going to get Stovall back. I assume he's going to be playing second because that's what DV8 said earlier. It's going to be some interesting spots are the first and third base spots, and then the outfield. But there were a lot of questions going in. I think he's got a lot of answers now, and we'll have a much better feel for what he wants to do over the course, of the winter, and when they come back, get ready to practice to open the season in February.
I want to kind of search in the depths of your mind for just a moment. I promise there's a lot of depth there. I promise. I know. You're not talking. From my observation, so when as much baseball as you've watched throughout the years with Arkansas baseball, when you see players in fall ball and they start to excel, how much of that translates into the starting of the season into February, March, that helps propel them through the rest of the season? Is the fall really a big springboard for them, or is there a fall off between fall and spring?
I think there's more getting used to the coaches, getting used to your teammates. Certainly getting to practice and having these scrimmage games is important. But, we saw a couple of guys who were just lighting it up in fall ball last year that really struggled coming out of the gate, and some that weren't hitting the ball in fall ball that really got after it over winter. Maybe it pushed them a little bit when they weren't getting what they needed to do done. I think the biggest thing is I look back maybe to the TCU series that they had here, obviously, in the NCAA tournament, and I look at the pitching that he has this year. If he'd have had that, I think they would have not skidded home the way they did. I really think that there's so many matchup situations. You've got guys who, I think that were here last year that had command problems. They seem to have that under control, at least going into fall ball. You want to see that. That's the one thing. I haven't had to put down a lot of bases on balls or walks in the scorebook over there. In the, 10 games I've seen, 10 scrimmages I've seen so far or whatever. Lots of people throwing strikes, and that's a big key because they didn't throw enough last year. And And sometimes when they threw strikes, they were too good in the hitting zone. You want to pitch to contact a lot of times, but not big contact.
No, that was definitely expanded upon during that TCU series, because that whenever you have a series like TCU, for instance, and just putting it out there because of just the way it went, one of the ways that you possibly could turn the tide is putting pressure on the bases and putting pressure on a pitcher to get him out of that rhythm of a command that he might have. Dave and that staff, it seems like they weren't running very much. And you've talked a little bit about how they're starting to have a little bit more, they have more speed on the bases and they're able to use that to their advantage. How important is it going to be for them to out of the gate whenever they in Arlington and start from the start of the first inning of the first game, they come out and they show that they're willing and wanting to put pressure on the base path each and every time that they can get a chance to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I'm going to be right in this. We'll see, as the season gets here. But you had Parker Rowland stealing bases. You had Ryder Helfrich, who is a catcher by trade. He played second base on Saturday and played it well. They're trying to get all these guys in the lineup. I mentioned Parker Rowland, he's a catcher by trade. Ryder Helfrich, Hudson White may be your starting catcher right now because of his combination of offense and defense, which I think has looked pretty good. His arms look pretty good. I think he's made some adjustments once he got here that has helped that. They're trying to find a place for all these catchers that need to be in the lineup because of their bats. And again, it's a great problem to have. Same problem that Coach Deichel has. If you want to call it a problem, Coach Van Horn has. And, just up and down the lineup, right after the scrimmage yesterday, I watched Coach Van Horn meet with Coach Nate Thompson and Coach Hobbs. And there were a lot of smiles. They were going over the game. So just a lot of smiles about what they, got accomplished in these first, 3-4 weeks of fall ball. You get 45 days. They didn't know if they were going to use them all. They ended up having, as I said, 3 scrimmages this weekend, had 3 last weekend. So, they're staying busy. And one of the things that Coach Van Horn said at the very start during his pre-fall press conference was he wanted to see all of these pitchers, wanted to see them work a lot of innings, wanted to see, obviously the new guys go against them, but also see what he's going to get out of some of the returnees. Jason Jones is a guy who had a really good summer. He hasn't hit the ball as well as I know he would like in these scrimmages. He and Peyton Holt have both played. We're both played third base this weekend. You may see Peyton Holt playing third base, and if Stovall's going to be at second, Aloy at short, and the first base is kind of up for grabs. You got a bunch of people that could play there. Do you put one of the catchers over there, or do you, you got Ben McLaughlin, you've got Reese Robinette, Jack Wagner, who's one of the transfers, have all been playing first. But that's just a continuation. And I know they're going to keep diving in there. They've had some injuries at second base, so they've kind of had a lot of people rotating through there, which has been interesting. Ryder Helfrich kind of surprised me out there yesterday. But, that dude's just a baseball player. He's going to be rich one of these days. He's going to go from here to the into the major league draft. And you can just tell he's a dude. I mean, the ball just jumps off his bat. Even if it doesn't go over the fence, it's a line drive. He's not getting cheated up there.
So over these 10 scrimmages, and one of the things I felt like Dave was missing last year was having a guy like Charlie Welch come off the bench and provide some instant power to the lineup wherever he happens to be able to position him. Is there anybody on the team that you've seen so far that could possibly fill a slot like that?
Yeah, and I think there is, but the problem is differentiating who's going to start and who's going to come off the bench, and that's the good thing they've got right now. But they have a lot more power than I thought they would have. And again, I want to talk about how they're not walking as many. They have given up some home runs, but most of them have been solo home runs. There's not been a lot of multi-run home runs because they haven't been putting people on base. So that's good that you're seeing the power, but also that you're seeing, not as many people on base with free passes.
So I know you've talked quite a bit about the home runs and that have been the ball's been jumping off the bats and stuff. Has it been a kind of a collection of freshmen and guys, sophomores, juniors? Has it been just all freshmen that just may have made a mistake on a pitch? What's been going on with some of I guess where those home runs are basically coming from?
I think most of the power is coming from the transfers. Wehiwa Aloy, I think, has 6 home runs. I think Parker Rowland has 5. There are a few others that have taken out, but I think those are the 2 high. Hudson White has hit a couple. I think you're seeing you can tell the ones that have been here and played and had Division I experience. They're taking the ball to all fields. As I said, I like a lot of the freshmen. Helfrich comes to mind. Souza comes to mind. You've got guys. Will Edmondson is a guy I talked about earlier. He's the junior college transfer. It's interesting. He never got interviewed while he was at Hutchinson during a game, and there were like 5 of us interviewing him after a scrimmage. So everything's new to him, and he's facing much better pitching than he did up there. He virtually did nothing his first year at junior college. Really, in all honesty, he got mad that he didn't get to play, and it pushed him during the off season. And had a great second year, obviously, as he won the Jayhawk Conference Player of the Year. But he's a guy that he's going to have to play somewhere. Now, if he's the center fielder, that's fine. If Ty Wilmsmeyer, one of the 2 transfers from Missouri, wins the center field, then I think then you've got to have Edmondson in left, because Kendall Diggs is established in right now, and he's played really good defense during these scrimmages. And he hit a home run yesterday too that we all just admired. He stood there for a while, and everybody, my God, it went over the building, in right field.
Wow.
So, he's obviously primed to have a great year.
And one of the things that I've noticed that a lot of people have talked about during the season on what happened preseason last year, you saw the arms start to fall. It happens to a lot of programs. Unfortunately, it happened to Arkansas in the worst spot possible, which was the top of the rotation. Has Dave made any adjustments on how he's approaching it with the top of the rotation versus, say, maybe last year, the year before?
I can't tell if he is. He may, and behind the scenes, he's trotted them out just like he did during fall scrimmage last year, 1 to 2 innings. Each guy. He had some guys pitch 3 this weekend. I know that one of the things that's an issue is that people think about the injuries and stuff. That happened all over the place. But as you said, when it hit Arkansas at the top of the rotation, that just really hurt them. I do believe the top of the rotation is pretty settled now. You've got some guys that could get in there, if somebody faltered. But with Hagen Smith, as I said, looking so sharp, Brady Tigers looked sharp, and Mason Molina, what a great pickup. That's your weekend starters unless something goes wrong. And we're going to know who the weekend starters are. We're not going to have to ask the question, who do you think you're going to start on Saturday?
Which ones now?
Start on Sunday. Yeah, who's healthy enough to start? Can that guy give you 3 or 4 innings? These are guys that's going to go out and give them 6, 7, maybe even longer than that.
You got horses.
I think that is that they have
workhorses now. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I think that's going to make Parker Coyle even better. Parker Coyle is one of the returnees from last year. He looked really good. I think it was yesterday, and my days are running together. They've just got so many guys coming at you. And again, I remember back in scrimmages last fall, it was tough finding enough guys to get out there to pitch. And now they're just, they're playing more innings so they can get more arms into the game.
So Jeanette Skipper asked, how are injured players from last year And I don't think we've really fully discussed that. I mean, we've kind of touched on it here and there. Uh, for the lion's share of the folks that are coming back this year, you mentioned Brady Tiger. It was pretty on so far through fall ball.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody else that's coming back from injury that you've noted that you've been able to see kind of maybe take that step back into that normalcy area of getting back into the baseball swing of things?
Well, Peyton Stovall obviously has not scrimmaged in any of these games. He's continuing to rehab, but Coach Van Horn has made it clear he expects him not only to be healthy for the season, but his shoulder to be healthy enough for him to play second base, which is, I think, his preferred position. It may not be the best position for the team, but you know,
For him, yeah.
because they may have more second basemen than they do have first basemen, at least proven first basemen. So we'll see what they do there. Dylan Carter is another young man who got injured toward the end of the year. His rehab is going so well that they expect him to be able to play next season. It's not going to be in February, may not be, you know, very much in March, but they expect him to be able to contribute toward the end of the season. And that's just another person who, you know, will kind of do his spring training during the middle of the season per se. But he pitched so well last year, they're excited about that. As far as other injuries, I think that's about it. I mean, those are the two main ones that we talked about. Everybody else is out there and getting after it.
I did hear that there might be a walk-on that might be available. His name, I think it was Shrady Blavins. Maybe he might be able to come back again for a 10th year. So
Hunter Grimes is taking his number 17, and he looks like Brady Slavins out there, but he bats from the different side. So you know, but he does have Brady's number this year. Hunter Grimes, who's been playing some left field and right field. So yeah.
Well, I had to throw that out there because it's more of a you'd love to see the guy and want to see him, you know, excel and stuff. But he's been such a staple for, you know, Coach Van Horn for the last few years now. It's almost kind of odd not seeing him out there now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that 17, the batting left-handed and playing first base. And that's the key. I'm interested. You're going to keep on in one of these scrimmages and see who's going to be the first baseman. And I'm sure we're going to have an idea when the Fall World Series is over. It still will be probably, you know, able to contend once they get back to, you know, going after it pretty good in practice in January. But you're going to have a pretty good idea, I think, at the end of these scrimmages, what this lineup's probably going to look like and I do think there's like 8 people that have got to go. 6 to 8, I think. Yeah, I think you can have 40 on the roster this year. Arkansas is getting a couple of grandfathered in. If you had, you know, there's some rule involving COVID still. I think they get to keep 42, but the 6 people are not going to be back, and it's going to be interesting to see, you know, who those 6 are.
Well, man, I'm going to get you out of here. Go get some rest and get healed up, get feeling better. And, you know, thank you for jumping on again, man.
You bet. I'll tell you what would make me feel better, although I don't think it's going to happen if the Cowboys beat the 49ers. But I think the 49ers are a force, so we'll see.
Yeah, we're going to see how that one's going to play out tonight. Because don't get me wrong, I love to see the Cowboys also, because I need something after what happened last night to go a little bit further. Because my Rogers Mounties, they lost a heartbreaker to Bentonville West in a last-second touchdown. Then I was over. I covered that. You and I were talking Friday night whenever I was over in Bentonville. That was a slaying. And then yesterday, I'm telling you, I need something kind of good to go, you know, that way. And I get it.
I stayed up writing last night and did and got to watch Pac-12 After Dark, USC in Arizona. That was fun to watch.
That was
that weird play call on the 2-point conversion in the third overtime, I guess it was, or second overtime. But that was fun to watch. That Arizona quarterback, only his second start ever. Fantastic.
He balled out.
Innovative offense. It's a thing whose time has come.
All right, well, man, I'm going to get you out of here. I don't want to have any more lightning rod stuff going on like happened last hour, because that was cool. I think that's about the best. That's the best way that I could describe it was, whoa, that's it. All right. Well, for Dudley Dawson, myself, Jason Pattyson, I want to thank you all for jumping on with us. And this has been the Sunday edition of the Razorback Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. We'll see you all next weekend.